Welcome back. Good to see you. It's another Recon. It's the Innsbruckring this time. A new segment on this one for the ZRL, and that is the Leg Snapper KQOM, of course. FAL points, FTS points, and of course segmental battle points are available here. And then we've got the Innsbruck Sprint to take a look at in a bit more detail. It's 4 laps if you're an A and B rider. It's 3 laps if you're a C and D. Let's dive in and take a look. So yes, I'm excited about this one because this is one of my favourite courses in game, the Innsbruckring. I like the Leg Snapper because it's survivable for those lower A's if you really to grit your teeth and hang on in there, at least for a couple of laps anyway. Maybe I won't be saying that on race day, but I do really love this course. Let's take a look at the distances, first of all, for the different categories. So A and B riders, you guys are going to be doing 35.4 kilometers. That's just over 300 meters of elevation. C and D riders, it's 26.6 with 231 meters of elevation. Of course, if you look at the course profile, you'll see that we've got this little spike here right in the middle of the course. This is where most of the elevation comes. This is the Leg Snapper KQOM. Of course, the Leg Snapper or the Leg Snapper, either way, they're both relevant. It's going to hurt on this particular course, I am sure. And it's not just about the Leg Snapper, of course. We've got this Innsbruck Sprint to contend as well. And the thing about this sprint is it does come pretty quickly after the Leg Snapper. We've got this little descent to recover. But first of all, you've got to make it over that climbing segment to be able to contest that sprint. Now, we've got all the Recon notes, all the distances of the segments here on the Recon notes, as you can see. And as always, these Recon notes are available on the community pages of levelvelo.cc. So go and check out those. You'll find a link to these Recon notes, but also you'll find a link to all the Recon videos and notes that we've done for most of the courses that we've covered so far over on the Zwift platform. While you're there, as I always say, why not check out some of the awesome kit available from levelvelo.cc. Whether you're cycling indoors or out, Level Velo have got some kit available for you. And if you want some kit made for your team or club, again, outside or indoors, riding on the Zwift platform, then contact the team over at levelvelo.cc and they'll help you design your perfect kit. Now, let's take a look at the power-ups available for this week's course. So some would say these power-ups are the perfect 3 or the power 3, and I would tend to agree. We have the aero, first of all, ideal for this course. It's a fairly flat course, as we know, apart from the Leg Snapper. But again, the aero could be utilised on the sprint, but also the finish, recatching those wheels. Maybe if you do get dropped over the Leg Snapper, that's also pretty useful. Then we've got the feather, only really useful on the Leg Snapper itself, which is going to be 8% all the way up that Leg Snapper. It averages at 6.9, but the climb itself is 8% all the way up there, and that'll be really, really useful. And then, of course, we've got the versatile draft van, which I like to use a lot, again, on long sprints. It's a really long 30-second power-up, so that can be utilised on the sprint, but of course also the finish as well. And it just takes the skill and the timing to maximise the benefits of the draft van. So that's the power-ups. Well, what about the bike choice? This is really straightforward. Go for the most aero bike and wheel combination you can get at your level. The Leg Snapper itself is only 430 meters. The rest of the course is flat to rolling. So just want the most aero setup you can get to conserve energy and be as quick as you can on this course. As always, there's a link down in the description below for the pages over on Zwift Insider where you can find the most aero setup available at your level. All right, we're going to get on course very shortly, but first of all, in terms of points, we've got the finish line points to think about, which of course at the end of lap 3 or lap 4, dependent on your category. And we're going to take a look at that sprint finish in a little bit more detail. We've got some race footage there from Thomas Thrall from Next, powered by Ensured. And then, of course, we've got the first across the line points for each of those 2 segments. So that's the Innsbruck Sprint, and then, of course, the Leg Snapper KQOM. Then you've got the fastest through segment. So again, the fastest through each of those segments will always pick up points. And then, of course, we've got the new segment battle points there as well. So you're going to be pitched against other riders, hopefully of a similar ability, in your group, in your race, and you're battling for first across the line points on those 2 segments for that. Also, great contribution to the team, also means we get points deeper down in the team as well, so I think it's a great addition. Right, let's get on course and take a look in a bit more detail. All right, so just as we're sat in the pens here, let's take a quick look at these Recon notes. As I've said, there are 5 points on these Recon notes I've highlighted. It's the start-finish banner, the start of the leg snapper, the finish banner on the leg snapper, the start of the Innsbruck sprint, and the banner on the Innsbruck sprint. Those are all the key points on this course. Now, we're going to leave the pens, we're going to take a left, and of course, we're going to go straight through a start-finish banner. So you're going to pick a power up here, which will be really useful on the leg snapper or the Innsbruckring. But you can see the start here, the first couple of kilometers, indeed the first 4.5 kilometers are fairly flat on this course. And it's not really until you start to get onto the grey brick paving here where you need to think about positioning ready for this first segment, which will be the leg snapper. And then of course you'll notice the bricks do turn this orangey red. That's where you really need to make sure you're in a great position ready to hit this first KOM. Now you'll see the river approaching. We're going to zigzag over the river here, and this segment is going to start at kilometer 5.0, and you'll see the marker on the right hand side there. You're going to take this right turn and immediately see the brick wall in front of you of the leg snapper. 430 meters to dig deep, hold those wheels, keep yourself towards the front of that group if you want to pick up those points. But also, if you want to contest the Innsbruck sprint, you need to make sure you're in that front group as you go over the top here. All right, so once you come over the top of the Innsbruckring and you take this right-hand side, you have got a bit of a descent here. In fact, between the two segments, or the end of the leg snapper and the start of the Innsbruck, you've got about 1,400 meters. And there is some descending. There is some time to recover and get your breath if you're not chasing wheels. If you're chasing wheels, you need to apply that speed, apply that power, close those gaps, and making sure you're in that leading group there to contest the Innsbruck sprint. Now you're going to see the river on the right hand side here, and the road will flatten off as we start to approach the Innsbruck sprint. Now the Innsbruck sprint, this first time of asking, is going to start at kilometer 6.8. This is where I expect the speed to be highest, the group to be biggest, so this is likely where the fastest through segment is going to be achieved on this first time of asking. So the Innsbruck sprint, you're right along the river here. It's pan flat and it's 300 meters long. You would have picked a power up there as you went over the leg snapper KQOM, so utilize it on this sprint, because once you go through that sprint banner, you will pick another power up. So on those early laps, you want to be utilizing that power up on every single segment opportunity. It's only when you get to the end of the race, on that final lap, that again you might think about saving an aero or something like that to utilize for that finish line sprint if that is your focus. So you've gone through the Innsbruck sprint. Let's take a look at this finish in a little bit more detail. All right, so once you finish that Innsbruck sprint, you've then got 2 kilometers to that start finish banner. So on the last lap, you've got 2 kilometers at the end of that sprint before you get to that finish line. So a little bit of time to recover unless anyone takes an early flyer, but it's a long, straight, flat finish once you've crossed that river there. You can see that finish banner pretty early. This is my own footage, first of all, from a recent 3R race that I did, but also in a second we're going to look at some footage from none other than Thomas Thrall and from Next, powered by Ensure, so you can take a closer look at this finishing sprint. But again, just watch out for those flyers taking an early leap on this one. But again, it's long, it's flat, you'll see the banner pretty early. You've picked a power up as you've come through that sprint banner as well, so utilize it wisely. So just in terms of finish there, C and D riders, you're going to be finishing at the end of lap 3 at kilometer 26.4. A and B riders, you're going to be finishing at 35.3. That's the end of lap 4. So that's it. That's the course. You know the bike choice, you know the power-ups, you know the points available. So all you need to do now is go and have endless discussions on your Discords and your Facebook groups with your teammates, how you're going to maximize those points and get yourself to the top of that league table. Why not have a discussion down in the description below? That's what it's there for. What do you think of the content? What do you think of the course? How are you going to maximize those points? Also, if you've liked and enjoyed this content, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you've not already. Go and recon this course, as I always say. Maybe go and do some kickers and some interval training up the leg snapper itself. Have a great week's training, and I'll see you soon for another Recon.